Let's queer up health. The Red Cross has relaxed donation restrictions for gay men giving.
From all of these empty beds that donors aren't needed. They're seeing about 300 donors a day, but they're working to double that. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center hopes the new FDA guidelines will bring in new donors. In 2015, the FDA made changes that would become more inclusive. Gay and bisexual men were allowed to donate blood if they had abstained from sexual intercourse for at least 12 months. In the last several years and during the public health crisis, requirements were further reduced to 3 months of no sexual intercourse.
On Monday, the Red Cross, the organization that provides about 40% of U.S. blood and blood components, started using a more inclusive, risk-based individual assessment to determine whether someone is eligible to give blood, regardless of their sexual orientation. Back when Kody Kinsley was in high school, he was so dedicated to boosting the U.S. blood supply that he helped run blood drives. But Monday was the first time as an adult that Kinsley, now the Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Health and Human Services, was allowed to donate blood. Kinsley is gay. Although the rules have loosened some, for nearly 40 years, guidance from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration banned most gay men from donating blood, even if they personally posed no threat to the blood supply. Over the years, blood banks became better able to screen for HIV among gay and bisexual men, but the FDA policy stayed the same. Rather than screen people out for risky behavior, it screened people for who they were. Initially, gay and bisexual men who had sex with men were banned from donating for life. Over the years, the ban eased a little, but still excluded most gay men from donating. So this just brings me right back. I'm an oldie sitting at this table. It brings me back to the 80s and when, maybe the late 70s, whenever it just AIDS started and we started losing people, and then none of us could donate, even gay women too. They asked us what our sexual preference was, and if it was gay, we could not donate blood, even to help our brothers primarily.
Well, and I'm curious, this story, is it triggering for you? I mean, you've done so much work. Fundraising, philanthropy, the actual in the trenches for HIV/AIDS. This story is it triggering for you in any way?
It's triggering, and there's also, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jordan Eagles. He's a gentleman, he's in New York City, and he created the blood mirror. And it's basically where he's taken blood from gay people, some of them very prominent, and he's basically put it between, they're like 8-foot panels, and they're all pressed together. And it's a statement about us not being able to give blood and how many people could potentially have been helped had everyone been able to be able to give blood, because there's mechanisms to filter out bad blood, but to make a general statement that anyone who's gay, who's having sex with somebody of the same sex, not be able to have that opportunity to help other people, there's no good reason for it, because a sex worker can give blood where a gay couple can't. And like, where is the equity in that? So it is without a doubt a trigger to, and it's great to see that there's some relief in that, but there's still some restrictions still placed on whether, you have not had sex within, 6 months or whatever. And it's archaic that we're having to deal with this. And it does trigger because it's another stereotype against a group of people without really having any.
Is it going too far, or is it far enough to say that in let's say the last 4 or 5 years, that it's still a representation of homophobia? Mm-hmm. That in decision making, it's homophobic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Evan, I'm curious, at 16, what do you think about a blood ban in terms of donating blood?
I don't really understand the concept of it. If you're going to put a blood ban, put it on unprotected sex, period. That's it. Don't put it on specific gender, don't put it on specific sex, just put it on the act itself, being unprotected with a partner whom you don't know and whom was not tested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just take the blood and test the blood. It's good or it's not. It's a
test it
fungible
anyway.
good, for Christ's sake.
Right.
They
it's
test
gonna
it
be
anyway to
tested
see if
in
you've
any-
got
Right.
blood deficiency or you have cancer cells or whatever it might be to eliminate you. So what is the difference?
And that's fine. Eliminate me because I have something,
Yeah.
scientifically, scientific issue with my blood, not my lifestyle.
Yeah, before we move to Evan, can we make one note of cheering North Carolina's Secretary Kinsley?
Yes.
What a moment it must have been for him to get onto that bed and be able to donate blood when he's had a lifetime commitment to the LGBTQ community and his interest in Red Cross and blood donation and the value of blood, to finally be able to, since the 1980s, to go, okay, this is over. Just congratulations to North Carolina's Secretary Kinsley. You've made the entire gay community proud of what you did in your life.
Yep.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.